Scratch is a programming application, which is a drag and drop programming application used for various projects. We can use Scratch to make video games, animations, etc. So besides that, there's always a question or a confusion whether Scratch is a programming language. Now, there's always this misconception whether Scratch is a programming language or not. Now, Scratch is not a programming language. Rather, Scratch is a programming application. What can we do with Scratch? Now, for those who are not familiar with the Scratch app and how it looks like, this is the Scratch app interface, and the Scratch screen is divided into 3 parts. Now we have the code blocks area, which is this side. We have the coding area, which is in the middle, and then we have the Sprites area to the right hand side. Here we have code blocks. We have code buckets such as motion, looks, sound, events, control, sensing, operators, variable, and my blocks. Now all these code blocks, we use them for different purposes, and we might not use the entire code bucket today, but for what we intend to do today, you are going to learn how to use them. How do we program in Scratch app? We simply program by dragging and dropping this code, these blocks of code, to the coding area, and when we drag those code, this sprite here performs the code that we have arranged here. Like we said when we're defining what coding is, we said coding is simply telling computer what to do. This time we are going to be telling this sprite, this is a default sprite, the cat sprite, to tell it what to do. We are going to simply drag code from here and drop on the coding area here, and then watch the sprite do what we've asked it to do using our code. This code is the language that the sprite understands. Now I'm going to first, right now the sprite cannot do anything, but I can drag it with my mouse. However, if say for instance I wanted this sprite to move forward, I can't simply use my mouse to say cat move forward. What I have to do is drag code from here and place here on the coding area for this cat to do what I've asked it to do. Okay, now to begin, we always start our code. It's ideal that we always start with, okay, now let me talk about these two guys here. We have the green flag, and then the stop button here, which is red. We have the green button, which is green flag. We have the go, and then the stop. This is our start and stop button in Scratch. We use these buttons basically in all our code and projects in Scratch, depending on the purpose of the project. In this area, this is the sprite properties. Everything here has to do with what this sprite looks like. We have here the sprite name, this bucket here, this area. This is what the sprite is. This sprite is called sprite 1. Yeah, you're hearing me say sprite. In Scratch, we do not call them anything but sprites. Whenever you see a character in Sprite, it is called a sprite. So we have the cat sprite, we have the other sprite. Okay, I'll show you, but for now, this is the sprite property. If I wanted to increase the size, the default size of the sprite always comes at 100. Now this is the current size of the sprite at 100. If I wanted to make this sprite bigger, I'll change this to it from 100. I'll change this to 500, and then click the enter. And now this is the size of the sprite at 500. It's almost bigger than the screen. And then if I wanted it to be smaller than, okay, let me return it to 100. This is size 100. Now I want to reduce it, make it smaller than it is right now. This is size 50. It's a lot smaller than 100, the default size. Now this is the sizing part of the sprite. Now I'm going to return it to the default size, which is 100, which is adequate for the screen. And then we have the direction where the sprite is facing. If I wanted the sprite to turn manually, this is how this area here describes the angle the sprite is. You can drag this icon here to turn its direction, or you could simply type in the direction you want it to face by default, and then simply click the enter button. Also, the sprite screen is divided into two parts. We have the up and the down part. We have the left and the right part of the sprite screen. Here, anything that has to do with up and down, it is like if you look at this arrow here pointing up and down, in front of it we have the Y, which represents the coordinates of the sprite screen. The Y, the up and down movement or screen area of this sprite is the Y coordinate, and if it is moving sideways, this is the X. In front of the X we have an arrow pointing left to right. If you want your sprite to move from left to right in Scratch, we call it the movement of the X coordinate. And then if you wanted your sprite to go up and down, it is the movement of Y coordinate. Now, if you wanted to delete or add any sprite you're working with, you're going to see the preview here and the name here. The delete icon here, if I wanted to delete this sprite and add other sprites, I simply click here. There is no any other way to delete a sprite than from clicking on this icon. If you zoom your screen, you will see that there is an icon that looks like trash or waste bin. So if you click this icon, it will simply remove or delete the sprite. Now I'm going to click it so that you'll see how to delete a sprite. If it's a sprite you do not want, you simply delete the sprite. Now there is no sprite. All the space is empty. Now we choose, okay, before I click this, now we have these two search icons here to choose a sprite, and to choose this other side is to choose a backdrop. So I'm going to start with the sprite. If you click, we have the option to choose a sprite from the default library of the sprite application. They have a default sprite library where you can choose a host of sprites depending on your project, which is this one. And then we have the paints. Before now, I'm sure some of you are familiar with the paints. This is where we can draw or design our own sprites by ourselves. And then the option here, surprise. If I click on this, okay, let me click on this design here. It will have this is the area where we can design our sprites by ourselves. And then we have the surprise. This option, the surprise option, we have the surprise. I was explaining the surprise icon here. When you click this, it selects sprites at random for you. And then this last option to upload sprites. This Scratch app allows you to add your own sprite in case you do not like the app, the sprites they have here, and then maybe you want to import a character or a picture, an image from your computer and work with it. This is also allowed. So I'll go back to the first one here, which is choose a sprite, where we're going to see a whole list of sprites that we can work with, and they are all categorized up here. We have the animal category, we have the people, fantasy, dance, music, sport, food, fashion, letters. All of this are made up to use depending on what you want to make. Now we have the default cat. We saw it the other time. It was called Sprite 1, but here it is actually cat. Okay, we have all of these characters or sprites with their different unique characteristics, and we use them depending on what we want to make. Now, if you place your mouse on the sprite, you can see the preview of their characteristics. Like this bear walking, if I place my mouse here and leave it, you can see the bear walking. This is to tell you that these sprites can be used when you want to animate an animal that is walking or bear precisely. And then this one, the second bear here, see this one isn't walking. This one is just standing up and going back. You cannot do anything more than using this sprite to stand or bend. And then this one used for walking. And then if you see the beetle here, it doesn't do anything, it doesn't have any characteristics. And then the butterfly, you see. So all of this works for all the sprites in this app. There are some with their unique characteristics, others do not have. Like the dragon, this one, the dragon is spitting out fire, and then we have the dove flapping its wing, and then we have the goat dog walking, and then this one just bringing out its tongue. We have the dinosaur 5 with its own animation, and then 4 different characteristics, all of them uniquely picked. Okay, so I'm going to select the default sprite we saw earlier. This is how to select your sprite. See, if you place your mouse, you see it preview its characteristics. You know whether this sprite can jump or whether it can run or what it's meant for. You just select this one now. Now, I was talking earlier about choosing a random sprite. This sprite here I selected by simply going to the library, the sprite library, to choose what I wanted to use it for. And then this is, if to go back, I simply click the back here or this icon pointing to the back. However, there is also the search box where you can search a particular sprite we want to use by the name specifically. Now, I showed you guys the spitting dragon. Now, I'm here. I do not want to scroll down to find the dragon. I'll simply search here, dragon, and then I can select the sprite that I want, which is dragon. We also have the dragonfly and also cake. Okay, this is the how to search for sprite in Scratch. Going back, next is I want to talk about the backdrop. Now, the backdrop is like a background for our sprite area here. The backdrop is going to appear at the back, just like background. Here in Scratch, it is not called a background, it's called a backdrop. So here, just like the Scratch option here, you have to select, choose a paint or upload. Here, you're also going to choose paint. It's the same option. Okay, I didn't show you guys how to use the surprise option. Now, if I click on this, the Scratch app is going to automatically select a sprite for me at random. Okay, now it brought up a butterfly for me. And if I click it again, I have the X button. All of this is useful depending on what you want to use it for. So you see, this is how the select button is. It just gives you sprites at random. In case you are indifferent about what to do or you are confused, you don't know what to do, I just want to go there or just select a sprite quickly, you can use the surprise and give us any sprite at random. And don't forget how to delete the sprite you do not need by clicking the waste bin or trash icon at the top of the sprite. Now let's go back to backdrop. Also, I'm going to use the same option just like the sprite option now to select a backdrop. Now this backdrop is useful for different types of projects you are making. We have the baseball backdrop, we have baseball 2, we have table 1, basketball 2, we have the beach model. I'm going to select one like the attic or the bedroom. So I'm simply going to select one to see how it appears on the background. Now this is how the backdrop appears on the sprite area. Then you see this backdrop has nothing to do with your sprite. It just gives it a more appealing look. Just give art aesthetics to your game. Okay, I'm going to select another backdrop. So we see now this is a beach backdrop. So you see your sprite will still be able to perform whatever it's asked to do or you want it to do, but it's just a different backdrop. And then there's a bedroom backdrop. Yes, this is a bedroom backdrop. You send this so you can code here, make your animation or create your game depending on whatever type of project you are making. This backdrop serves the purpose of all kinds of projects depending on your choice. Also the pool backdrop. Okay, so if you want to animate or create projects for kids jumping into the water or a pool. So I'm done explaining what the background is and the purpose it serves, which is for different projects you are making. We also have the theater and so on. There are so many. All of these, they do the same thing, there to add aesthetics to your game. However, I do have a favorite background that I like to use, which is the blue sky. Yes, this one, because it is very clear how I could make the sprite move. Now we are getting to that part right now. First, we start from our code bucket. We start our event by going to events. We say here, remember I said these two buttons up here, the go and stop. So we're going to start our game, our project with when I click the go button. However, here it is written go. but it is actually called a green flag. So we always start our game with when green flag is clicked. Now, how you see how small this code I dragged here looks? I can increase the size here. We have the plus and minus sign here. If I reduce it, it becomes a lot smaller. And if I click the equal sign here, it just brings it to the standard screen size. However, I can make it bigger. For the purpose of this class, I'm going to make mine bigger so that everyone can see what I'm working with. However, I'm going to take this back. I didn't explain this part. To use to drag, you first click, you say you click, and then if you watch my mouse pointer, you've seen that it has changed to like a fist, like it is holding something now. I have clicked, now I've let go. Now I'm going to click again. Now I have clicked and hold the block of code I want to drag now, and then start dragging. You see, drag till you get to the coding area and then let go. You see, I've let go now. Hold and drag. I can move this to any part of the screen by holding it, clicking and holding it. Immediately let go, it leaves your grid. Okay, so very quickly I want to make this sprite move forward like any other sprite would do. So first we start with when I click the green flag. When green flag clicks, I want it to take 10 steps. Now I've done that. Each time I click here or the green flag here, I don't know if you can see the sprites moving forward. It allows us to determine how often or how repeated an action should be. How should we repeat an action? Now remember, whenever I click the green flag, the sprite takes one step. To go forward, I have to repeatedly press the green flag for it to move either up or go down. However, we can use a loop. This loop allows us or gives us the liberty to command or control the sprite to go perform a repeated action for as long as we want. Now, if you go to the control code bucket, we have, wait 1 second, we have the repeat 10. This one allows the sprite to repeat an action up to 10 times. We can change this from 10 times to 50 times, but today I want to focus on the forever loop. This one allows us an action to be repeated forever, for infinity. So if I place, how do we use this? We use it in the code we want to repeat that action. So I want this, I'm going to drag and place this inside and put the change y by -10 in a forever loop. Those who are familiar with Scratch programming already know what is going to happen. What this simply means, okay, let me use, because the sprite is down, so I'm going to remove the negative and allow it to start from 10. To change y by 10, what this is going to do is that the sprite is going to keep going up forever. Now to see that, you see the sprite keeps going up. So now it has gotten to the zenith of the screen, so it can't go beyond this. Even if I bring it down, it will continue going or rising up. And I stop. Now notice that when it was up here, if I dragged it downwards, it continued going up. That's because of the loop. However, to stop it, we click the red button which says stop, and now you are able to drag it, and then it won't go up again until you click the go. This is how the forever loop works. Okay, now I'm going to make it go forward. Instead of using up and down, I'll go back to, now you see it going, and then when it gets to the edge of the screen, it is stuck there because it can't go further than that. But the control here already says it should continue going forever. So this already explains how the sprite is going to move. And then if I wanted the sprite to come back, I simply change this from 10 to -10 and then click the green flag, and then it comes back. And if I want it to go front, simply remove the negative and then it goes forward. The same way, I'm going to remove the change X to make the sprite go up and down. I'm going to go back to control and scroll down here. You're going to see change Y by 10. This is to make the sprite go up and down. So currently is change Y by 10. This will allow the sprite to go up, and when I click the green flag, the sprite just goes up. Also, if I change this from 10 to -10, the sprite starts pulling downwards.